All right, good evening. So good evening and welcome back to a nice segment. So tensions are rising. Europe's energy crisis and heavy losses in the Kursk region in Russia. So good evening and welcome back. Welcome back to JPCE Watchdog News. Tonight, I'll bring you an in-depth look at the escalating situation in the Kursk region with exclusive video evidence shedding light on recent developments. From Russia's urgent measures to safeguard its nuclear facilities amidst the Ukrainian conflict to critical updates on Europe's energy concerns and the devastating impact on Ukrainian military forces. Stay tuned for the comprehensive coverage and detailed footage on these pressing issues. Tonight's episode is brought to us by our Father in Heaven. As I share the screen over, we're going to get right to our first discussion. We're going to jump right into this report. I'm hoping that we get to a lot of this video evidence, if we don't have any technical problems, which I've had some today, right? It's kind of an ongoing thing here. It has to do with our phone company. There's an outage that's affecting just our little area. So, all right, here we go. On the screen, it says, finally, Russian natural gas for Europe with Zelensky's stamp. Russia, the Europeans will pay dearly for the VAT if it doesn't go through Ukraine. Russian natural gas price for Europe. So this was a pretty interesting research as I kind of dug into this. So Russian gas transit concerns. Okay, so European countries, particular Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, and the Czech Republic, are worried about the potential energy crisis this winter due to uncertainties surrounding the transit of Russian natural gas through Ukraine. The current agreement between Gazprom and Ukraine's Navalgaz expires on December 31st, 2024. Here is Zelensky's stance. So Ukrainian President Zelensky's firm declaration that Ukraine would not renew the gas transit agreement with Russia has sent shockwaves across Europe. This has fueled grave concerns about the energy crisis as the region heavily depends on Russian natural gas. Alternative routes. Russia has suggested that the transit deal with Ukraine is not extended. It may explore alternate routes for gas transit, such as Turkish gas hub. However, the capacity of these alternate routes is limited, which could lead to higher gas prices for European consumers. So if you're in Europe and you're a European consumer, listen attentively, share out this video. Impact on Europe. So a Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, warned that European consumers would pay dearly if the gas transit through Ukraine is halted. The ominous warning suggests that gas prices in Europe could soar, potentially burdening consumers with significant higher energy costs. Broader geopolitical context. The situation is also intertwined with broader geopolitical tensions. With Russia continuing its military operations in Ukraine and dismissing Zelensky's proposal for ending the conflict. European preparations. Many European countries are preparing for the possibility of a complete cutoff of Russian gas via Ukraine at the end of the year, exploring other potential energy sources and routes. Here's some diplomatic efforts. The EU and Ukraine have contacted Azerbaijan to mediate discussions with Russia about gas transit deal through the Kremlin. Currently sees no basis for such talks. Interesting. All right, so we're going to continue on with the report. Let's see what we got here. Here's a little video of Zelensky, and he's talking about what is covered in the report.
Договір з Росією ніхто продовжувати не буде, на цьому поставлена крапка. Що стосується транзиту газу від інших компаній, якщо буде продовжуватись, ви праві, продовжувати запит деяких наших європейських колег, ми всі в Євросоюзі, ми будемо розглядати їх прохання. Про що говорив старий дід в Азербайджані, мені невідомо, не впевнений, що про газ, думаю, що є інші питання.
All right, so let's move on. Now we're going to talk about heavy Ukrainian losses, right? All right. Should be coming up on the screen. Here we go. So Kursk, NATO tank and armored cemetery. Over 6,000 dead Ukrainians. There are videos. They're calling it the cream of the crop of the Ukrainian ED. Was lost, who was also trained by NATO. So here's some key points, right, that's going on. So heavy Ukrainian losses, right? So Ukrainian attack on the Kursk region in Russia has resulted in catastrophic losses, with over 6,000 Ukrainian soldiers reportedly killed in action. The article improvised that the forces represent the cream of the crop of the Ukrainian military, many of whom were trained by NATO. Point number 2, destroyed NATO equipment. The attack led to destruction of a significant amount of NATO-supplied military equipment. This includes Challenger 2 tanks. At least 2 were destroyed. Abrams tanks, approximately 20 of the 31 delivered to Ukraine and lost. Wow. HIMARS artillery systems, 3 units destroyed. Stryker armored vehicles, about a dozen were destroyed by Russian forces. Marder infantry fighting vehicles, at least 3 were shot down. Bradley fighting vehicles, 8 were destroyed within 24 hours on August 12th. Humvee vehicles, these were also targeted with some captured on video. And 113 APCs, at least 1 had been hit recently. Regrouping of Ukrainian forces. Despite the heavy losses, Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region are reportedly regrouping and may attempt to strike in another area, according to Chechen commander of the Akhmat Special Forces Unit. Right? The Russian military response. The Russian military has successfully pushed Ukrainian forces out of many settlements in the Kursk region, with no foreign mercenaries among those captured by the Akhmat unit. NATO equipment cemetery. The article referred to Kursk as a NATO cemetery. Interesting detail. Highlighting the significant destruction of Western military hardware during conflict. This report I have underscores the severe impact of the conflict in the Kursk region on both sides. And also on both Ukrainian personnel and NATO supplied military equipment, while also suggesting potential future military actions in the region. Right? Here's a video. Those are Ukrainian POWs. Operation at Kursk, the Donetsk People Republic. The Russian armed forces continue to destroy U.S. Army M1A1 Abrams tanks in the Kursk region. Here we go.
Кошечка немецкая. О, походу, вот сюда прилет был. О, гусля снята. Заебись, попали. Четко.
Zelensky's troops are trapped in the Kursk region. Russian troops let Ukrainian Hashtag U.S. Striker vehicles and other convoys pass until they are ambushed on both sides.
Выявить ее и, соответственно, уничтожить. Населенный пункт находился в тылу. Колонна противника до 15 единиц прорвалась через передний край. Соответственно, на переднем крае уничтожили 4 единицы техники, в том числе БТР-страйкеры, 2 штуки. Колонна подвинулась дальше в тыл. Соответственно, в данном населенном пункте находились у нас резервы с отряда «Шторм» и ДШБ, которые встретили колонну. Соответственно, «Хаммер». Одна перевернулась сама, в тыл упала.
All right. We'll get out of that. So there's just more and more videos in here. So we're going to move on with this report. Next, we're going to talk about a top Ukrainian pilot. All right. So according to the Washington Journal, Ukrainian F-16 down by pilot error. Top Ukrainian pilot dead. Americans, Ukrainians call it a crash. All right. So let's filter through some of the key points. So a top Ukrainian pilot, Ozlysky Mess, known by the call sign Moonfish, was killed while flying a U.S.-made F-16 fighter jet during a recent Russian airstrike on August 26. Excuse me, the crash investigation. The incident is under investigation, and international experts are expected to be involved. While U.S. reports suggest the pilot error, and Ukrainian defense forces do not believe that pilot error caused the crash. A significant loss for Ukraine. The death of this experienced pilot is seen as a substantial loss for Ukraine, particularly given his status as one of the country's top pilots. F-16 deliveries. Ukraine received its first F-16s in early August, with just 10 aircraft delivered. Several European countries, including the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and Belgium, have pledged 79 F-16s to Ukraine. Russian airstrike. The crash occurred during one of the most extensive airstrikes launched by Russia against Ukraine, involving hundreds of missiles and drones. However, the F-16 was not shot down by Russian forces, according to reports. Terminology dispute. While U.S. Ukrainian reports refer to the incident as a crash, there is disagreement on whether the pilot error was involved. Interesting. So here is the pilot, right? Zoom in, right? For all of you those in Ukraine, sorry for your loss, right? Sorry for the loss of your hero. All right, so let's move on with the report. All right. So next, we're going to talk about, all right, here we go. All right. As it translates over for us. Might be a little slow, apologize. All right, here we go. So public admission of American official. With American satellite images, the invasion of Ukraine in Kursk video document with statements of high-ranking American. So an American satellite imagery support. An American official publicly admitted that the U.S. intelligence services provided Ukraine with satellite images of the Kursk region from the beginning of the Ukrainian invasion on August 6, 2024. The U.S. intelligence services, Frank Whitworth, director of the U.S. Geospatial Intelligence Service, confirmed that these satellite images were made available through GEGD, which contains over 400,000 records. The Ukrainian armed forces have had this access for 2.5 years. Interesting. Western involvement. The Kremlin views the U.S. and UK's provision of satellite imagery and other intelligence as direct evidence of Western countries' involvement in the conflict. This could create World War III, right? Russian presidents, the Russian presidential spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, stated that many Western countries are deeply involved in the conflict in Ukraine. Media reports. The New York Times and other sources have also claimed that the U.S. and UK have been supplying Ukraine with satellite imagery and other intelligence related to the Kursk region since the start of the Ukrainian offensive. Video evidence. The article includes a video in which an American official discusses the involvement of U.S. satellite imagery in the Ukrainian campaign in the Kursk region. These points will highlight the extent of U.S. and Western involvement in supporting Ukraine's military action through the provision of satellite intelligence. This is a big deal. Right? So you're going to ask me about World War III. Listen attentively.
If you remember, we go back 2.5 years. We made available commercial imagery through an outlet, a portal known as GEGD. There were over 400,000 accounts in that particular portal. And so the availability of commercial imagery is sustained. If that is what they are using for purposes of this particular campaign, this limited campaign in Kursk, then I'll defer to them to confirm that. But the availability is always there.
All right, moving right along. So we'll keep moving along in this report. Thank you all again for following. All right, so normal war scene inside Russia. Modular concrete shelters being installed for the first time since World War II. And ask me again about World War III, attention to my reports. So point number one, installation of concrete shelters. Authorities in Russia's Western Kursk region have started installing modular concrete shelters to protect civilians amid ongoing excursions by Ukrainian forces. Number two, warlike conditions. The situation in Kursk is described as reminiscent of the war zone within Russian territory. This marks the first time since World War II that such defensive measures are being implemented inside Russia. The Ukrainian invasion. Ukrainian forces launched a cross-border attack on the Kursk region on August 6 in 2024, leading to significant fighting and evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people from the area. So shelter locations. The acting governor of the Kursk region, Alexei Smirnov, stated that shelters are being placed at critical points, particularly at crowded locations such as bus stops. Around 60 bus stops in the city of Kursk, which has a population of about 450,000 people, will be equipped with these shelters. Point number five, expansion to other cities. In addition to Kursk, shelters will also be installed in nearby cities. So here are some of the nearby cities. You find it on the screen right here. Let's zoom in. These are some of the nearby cities. All right. So in addition to the Kursk region, shelters will be also installed in nearby cities right there on your screen, the latter which is home to the Kursk nuclear power plant. Accusations against Ukraine. Russia has accused Ukraine of planning and executing attacks in the Kursk region, leading to the current defensive preparations. These points in my report emphasize the severity of the conflict spilling over into Russian territory and the measures being taken to protect civilians. Beautiful. All right, let's watch this video right here. Let's move on with the report. All right, so moving right along. Now we're going to talk about Telegram as a CIA tool. This is interesting. All right. There we go. Hope you're all following along. So bomb for USA, CIA, Telegram. This is how they used it for business worldwide. Telegram was favorite of CIA and the State Department. Interesting. So here we go. Telegram, key point. Telegram as a CIA tool. Telegram, an encrypted messaging app, was allegedly favored by the CIA and the U.S. State Department for facilitating protests and riots in countries with governments considered undesirable by the U.S. It goes right into my research on the NED, organizations like the NED, right? Interesting. Point number 2, Mike Ben's claims. Mike Benz, who was a former State Department official under President Trump, listen attentively, and now a free speech activist, claimed in an interview that the U.S. used Telegram to incite unrest in various countries, including Russia, Belarus, Iran, Hong Kong, and attempted to do so in China. Wow. The arrest of Pavel Durov. So Pavel Durov, he was the co-founder and CEO of Telegram. He was arrested in France and charged with complicity in crimes committed via the app. Ben suggested that this fits a pattern of soft power tactics used by the U.S. Used in Belarus. Ben specifically mentioned that during the 2020 protests in Belarus, Telegram was the main channel used to orchestrate a color revolution, with the National Endowment for Democracy, the NED, allegedly paying Telegram administrators involved in protests. It's awesome. Political operations tool. Benz argued that Telegram's encryption and widespread user base made it an ideal tool for the CIA and the State Department to conduct political operations worldwide, particularly the former Soviet Union territories. Western influence. According to Benz, Telegram is part of a broader campaign by the US, the UK, and NATO partners to exert political control over regions and resources. This point in my report is outlining the allegations that Telegram has been used by US intelligence and diplomatic services to extort political influences and cause unrest in various countries. Wow. Almost like something falling into your lap, right? That article, I just busted out laughing when I read that article. All right. As we move on, it's going to get even more interesting. So we're going to talk about Lafayette now. So Lafayettes are losing their minds. They also want women in the army with an eye on Russia. What did the Minister of Defense say? So here are some points about this one. So conscription of women by 2028. The Latvian Defense Minister, Andrius Spuds, announced that Latvia should prepare for the conscription of women in the military by 2028. Interesting. This marks a significant policy shift as the country looks to bolster its defenses. Reinstatement of compulsory service. Latvia reinstated compulsory national service less than a year ago, following its early abolition in 2006. This move is part of a broader strategy to strengthen national defense in response to Russia-Ukraine conflict. Infrastructure and preparations. Latvia National Armed Forces have been tasked with preparing the necessary infrastructure to accommodate female draftees, indicating the government's commitment to implementing this policy. The population and military size. Latvia has a population of approximately 1.87 million, with its military consisting of just over 17,000 active duty members and 38,000 reservists, including women in conscription, would expand the pool of potential soldiers, I would imagine. So, defense against Russia. The decision to consider conscripting women is influenced by concerns over potential confrontation with Russia, reflecting the heightened security involvement in the region. One of my last points, EU and NATO membership. Latvia has been a member of the EU and NATO since 2004. These affiliations shape its defense policies, yes it does, including the recent shift towards compulsory service and gender inclusive conscription. These points in my report highlight Latvia's strategic considerations, expanding its military capabilities in response to regional security threats. Interesting. World War III around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, it surely is. It really is. It's getting interesting out there. What else can we dig up before we get out of here? Let's look at this. All right. Kursk. This is how the August 6th attack happened. The video released by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Watch the video, please. I hope you're staying with me. So here are some key points. So the release of footage. Ukrainian Ministry of Defense released a video showing footage the first day of Ukrainian invasion of the Kursk region in Russia, which took place August 6th of this year. The operation details. The footage showcases various aspects of Ukrainian defense forces operation in the Kursk region, including dimming operations. Ukrainian forces conducted demining operations to clear the way to demining operations. Ukrainian forces conducted demining to clear the way to their advance. Destruction of defensive lines. The video will show the destruction of Russian defense positions. Air and artillery fire. Ukrainian 80th Airborne Brigade is depicted engaging in air and artillery strikes, including targeting the Shua border outposts. Capture prisoners. The video also captures the moment when Russian soldiers raise the white flag and surrender to the advancing Ukrainian forces. The significance of the footage. The video is significant as it provides a visual account of the Ukrainian military's actions during the invasion, illustrating the intensity and strategic elements of the operation in Kursk. All right. Some of these we're going to have to mute if they'll play. Probably not going to play. All right, they're not going to play, and I do apologize, but we're going to move on with the report. All right. All right. Here we go. It's definitely running slow. I'm still up, so I'm going to go and finish this report. So this one up here, oh, here we go. So Putin's 4 conditions to end the war in Ukraine. What Zakharova said. He is waiting for Kennedy and Trump. So recognition of Russian sovereignty. Russia demands international recognition of its sovereignty over the regions of Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, which Moscow declared Russian territories. Ukraine's NATO refusal. Ukraine must officially abandon its aspirations to join NATO, a significant point of contention throughout the conflict. 3, lifting of Western sanctions. Russia requires the complete withdrawal of all Western sanctions imposed on it due to its actions in Ukraine, other international matters. Number 4, the rights of Russian-speaking population. Russia insists on the recognition and protection of the rights of the Russian-speaking population within Ukraine. These conditions reflect Russia's core demands for potential negotiations to resolve the conflict, to indicate the challenges in reaching a diplomatic solution. Zakharova's statements improvise that current circumstances could be more conducive to negotiations. So this video is not translated, but it's a good video. So if you up the links, you can watch this video. It's a real good one, right? All right, as we move on. Let's see. Almost done. Weapons in for you. NATO states surprises Zelensky. We gave you almost $29 billion for weapons and ammunition. So here, Poland's contribution to Ukraine. Poland's deputy prime minister and defense minister stated that Poland has provided Ukraine with all the weapons it could, amounting to nearly $29 billion in military aid. Limitations for further support. They also emphasized that Poland has reached its limit regarding what it can supply to Ukraine, prioritizing the Polish state security and defense capabilities. Focus on Polish security. The decision to limit further arms shipments is driven by the need to maintain Poland's military readiness and security, which is the top priority of the Polish defense officials. Extent of aid provided. Since the beginning of Russia's military operations in Ukraine, Poland has supplied over 100 pieces of military equipment, including tanks, aircraft, armored personnel carriers, and numerous shells. The total aid, including military equipment and other support, amounts to almost 100 billion, approximately. So was it 100 billion zlotys? Approximately 25.9 billion US, right? The strategic consideration. Poland's announcement reflects the strategic consideration of balancing support for Ukraine with safeguarding its national defense capabilities. Here's the last one. We'll click on it. If not, I'll just read the report. I think I'm... All right, here we go. So here are just some key points as we finish out. Emergency security measures. Due to ongoing security concerns, the Russian government has implemented additional security measures regarding the Kursk nuclear power plant. Restricted access. So the entry to the nuclear power plant will be temporarily restricted. Roadblocks will be set up, the city's entrance, and only residents and those with special permits can enter. All other transportation to the city will be halted. Reason for measures. The restrictions are in response to ongoing attempts by Ukrainian forces to enter the city in broader context of the terrorist operation in the Kursk region. Ongoing conflict. Since August 6, Ukrainian forces have been engaged in a surprise incursion into Russia's Kursk region, with fighting occurring within approximately 40 kilometers of the nuclear facility, all right? The increased security measures are intended to protect the Kursk nuclear power plant from potential threats related to the conflict. And that's where we'll end tonight. So here's your report for this evening. Stop the share. Here I am. Really quick chat. And so, as you can see in my report, I'm also still doing some research as well, right? If you ask me the question, do I think that World War III is coming? Absolutely. Do I think that this is being driven for a reason? I do. We can see it, right? If you're listening to the report tonight, some interesting things going on. Even our government is admitting to doing things. Right? So without further ado, we're going to close out. Right? May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, be merciful to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, now and forever. Sages. Amen. Lord is our shepherd. All right, we depart in peace in the name of the Lord. My brothers and sisters in Christ, peace be with you all. Peace. If you're not a Christian, you're still welcome here to listen to the news, right? So thank you all again for following. Love you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this report. If I post anything else, it'll probably be later this evening, right? I haven't posted a whole lot today because, as you can tell, my internet's not running too well right now. So love you all so much. Have a blessed night. I love you all so much. I'm out.